Yay.
Hello, welcome to the Big Black Tent. I am Rebecca Alexander, aka Naima Freedom.
I am Natalie Arsenault, aka her sidekick.
And today I feel like we need to talk about hair and the intersectionality of race.
Big
And then we'll follow up on this is what's crazy. I want to follow up on some things we were talking about previously about Black women in color.
Oh, wait, you muted yourself. Unmute. Okay, there
Oh,
you go. Okay,
so
wait.
yes,
You said you said you want to follow up on Black women and what? What happened? What we doing?
Okay, so last week I was thinking about this all week. Last week we were talking about how Black women, like majority of us, I was looking at statistics, majority of us are single. There's a big chunk of us who've never been married,
Okay.
and most of us who have children are not married with children. And so true story, I started attending church in person again. I've been part of Zoom Sunday school for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And it's been, or maybe 3, but it's been very convenient because, right, you work all the days of the week.
Yep.
One day is for cleaning. You try to get one day, right, for rest. And I realized that to get all 3 children together, to get them to the church. Now, this is something our parents did without fail, right? So
Yes.
it's not a complaint. This was part of the culture. But I'm realizing as a Black woman going to church, it's a majority of us in the church. It's a majority of us funding the church.
That's true.
And when I'm sitting down, I'm like, okay, laundry, meal prep. Like I'm thinking about all these things that have to get done that really aren't done without a severe level of exhaustion.
That is true.
And I'm thinking about the hair that I have to do, the hair that I have to do for my kids, especially my daughter. Like I'm thinking about all the things it takes to maintain your existence.
It's a lot.
It's a
It's a lot.
lot.
It's a lot.
Right? I didn't even start in on laundry, right? So I was thinking about all these things and I was sitting down and I thought, you know how I'm just called Black church. You know how in Black church we have a ministry for everything,
That
ministry
is
for this,
correct.
ministry. And I was looking at our statistics and I was saying, okay, so we're still the most diseased, we're still the most, poorest, we're still. And I was like, why isn't there a laundry ministry? Why isn't there, I need to get my hair done? Why am I?
Well, we talked about this last week.
That's what I'm saying. I want to follow up on this.
Okay. So before we dive into that, you changed your hair. I want to hear about this hair change.
Okay. So I have this weird relationship with hair, number one.
Okay.
Number one, I hate going to salons and waiting for anything. I don't want to be there.
Fair.
Okay.
That's
So
fair.
my solution since I had kids was just to shave it. I didn't have the time, the resources to get it done. My hair off, I'll tend to other things. That took an easy, how many hours a week does a black woman spend on her hair? Unless you get braids, and then that's another cost, right?
Right.
So I just didn't have the resources and it was really last priority.
Right.
So I noticed that I'm getting busy again. Okay. My hair is thinning. I'm getting older. I want to see if I can grow it, but I don't like hair in the sense that I used to take care of hair. It's not a priority for me.
That's fair.
I don't value it. So I shaved the sides.
Okay.
I shaved the sides, which has made it easier just to maintain the top. And I thought, oh, I don't have to be bald. Maybe I can just, what's his name? Mr. T it. Maybe I can just
Mohawk it. Okay, so we're gonna Mohawk. We rocking Mohawks. I love Mohawks. Okay.
Mohawk. So it's twisted, and then when it's getting a little old, then I just untwist it, and it's just like a big puff, a crinkly puff.
I love it.
So that's why I changed the hair. But it's taken me a very long. Well, number one, the kids aren't with me, so that's the big thing. I've had time.
That is correct. Time is important to
I
have it
have
and possess it.
time. I colored it, right? Went to the
Okay.
barber, did it, twisted it. That takes time.
Okay.
I usually don't allot for hair.
We're doing things. Okay.
Doing things. So that's one thing. And I don't even think I have time, but it's also I'm not tired because I'm not tending to another human being.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. I just had that conversation with somebody. So a person on my team who I have a new team, and so they said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" We were in a little one-on-one, and they were like, "Can I ask you a person?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I was like, I told you I had a radio show a long time ago, so probably whatever you're gonna ask is already on public record. So have at it. And she was like, "Well, have you ever wanted kids?" And I was like, "Never."
Really?
Never.
Really? Never.
Never have I ever raised your hand. Okay.
Oh,
Never. So yeah, so because she has three and plus a bonus kid, and she was just like, she hadn't really thought about it. Maybe she was just waiting for the right person to come, and now she's married and all this other stuff. I was like, never. I've never ever. I was like, my mom, um, and I'm biased, obviously. Everybody think their mama's the best, but my mama really is the best. So when I was younger, when I was younger, she would like wake me up in the morning and massage my feet all the way to my head. She would like say a prayer over me before I go to school, like all these things. We have to go to the kolache place and get a little kolache before I go. All the things. She was like omnipresent, even though she was a professional. Like I still to this day reflect back and I'm like, I don't know, how was she in the classroom spying on teachers to make sure they was doing me right? And she was, I don't know. I have no idea. She was omnipresent like God. It's amazing. And I thought about that. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, that's a lot, child. I don't want to do that for no other human. I was like, I don't have that in me. I was like, God bless her, because she poured that into me. But I was like, I cannot participate. I'm not rubbing your feet. I didn't want to take you to get school clothes. Get your own goddamn clothes with your own money. Can you come out making money? Because you can't come out, then I don't want you. I don't have time. It's a big responsibility. And I know a lot of parents kind of like, and you're a parent who like is very hands-on, and there are a lot of parents who are not very hands. They let the TV raise their kid, the internet raise their kid, Cardi B raise their kids. A lot of people raising their kid, and I don't want to be that. I'd never wanted to be that parent. So even when I was little, like the most that I had was like teddy bears, and my mom would take me to like teacher supply house, and I would get like all the school materials, and I would teach my teddy bears. I would
but not the kids. You
not the real children, no, not the real children. But yeah, so my little teddy bears, they was well educated, and we had parent teacher conferences for the teddy bears and all that. But I never was walking around with a baby doll thinking I wanted to have a babe. None of that.
yeah, that just was not your. Now, are you the youngest?
I am the youngest by 6 years. I have a sibling that's 6 years older than me. I just was like, it's a huge, and I just think about like, God bless all the parents who are involved. Like even you, like you see how long it took me to get on the thing. I was like, can we? Because I just made it, and it's not. I can't. My brain. And I just think like you can't do that with kids. Like they come running up, they want stuff, they got a school project, they want to go here, they got a friend house, they want to, can you take here? They got conversation. All of a sudden, you can't just turn them off. I mean, some people do, but that's really not great. So you can't just turn them off. You have to engage with them. And I was like,
Yeah, it is completely. I have not heard a conversation. I see it as a teacher, right? We see the evidence of this, but especially is maybe I'm just not in the sphere, which is why I want to bring it up. But we are not being honest with what is going on and what this looks like. This is insanity.
It is.
It is insanity to live this way. It's insanity for me to show up at a quote unquote house of God where all these ministries are going on, and I take my fatigued possibly diseased, exhausted behind home, and I can barely minister to myself.
Yeah.
It is insane. And so I guess, we talk about hair, we talk about, but I was like, that's fundamentally the insanity program that we have accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just living that out this week because I have time to think because I'm not inundated with my children. And I was like, what and where is this? This is I'm just slaving away. I'm just slaving away. I'm just slaving away. And that's become my baseline to the point where I was like, why am I going to show up again? I think initially it was for community, right? I get it. It was community, it was government, it was the resource um from which you did everything. But since
Mm-hmm.
integration happened,
Oh dear Lord.
right? And in our community, like, I don't know, that's the conversation I think here now next time needs to be reflected from the integration standpoint, because I don't know if there is that generation anymore who goes 3 times a week, right?
Oh,
That
I
was
think
just how
there
I was
is.
raised,
Oh no,
right?
I think there is. I think there are. I think it's plenty. I think there are lots of folks. Maybe not the majority of folks, but I do think there is a percentage of the population who is in church multiple times a week. They're at Wednesday Bible study. They are at Sunday morning Bible school. They are at the first service. They come back for the program on Sunday evening. Like, yeah, no, I do. But let me ask you this: given the fact that you're right, for the Black church, women are the majority of the congregants who attend regularly, specifically regularly, do you think that the church has failed them or is failing them?
W.E. like I feel like I'm like cover myself. W.E. Du Bois wrote this almanac on Black America, I think 1908 or 1918. And he chronicles the state of the Black church in America. And when I read that in college, you would think that he wrote it in, I think I read in the 90s, in the
Mm-hmm.
1990s. And yes, I think that this is really gonna get me canceled. I think that every time like this really might do it. I think that the integrated church, because that's the only one I know, meaning
Oh, okay.
after segregation, and the rise of the mega churches,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that this is a trauma response. I think this has been our coping mechanism that
Mm-hmm.
has not been for our highest good. And I say that because I'm in this situation, unless somebody has some fabulous community resources that I just have not built for myself. I noticed that when I got pregnant with my son, and I had the privilege of not working for 2 years, and I was looking for support in stay-at-home mom places, right? Now, my ex was teaching at the time, so it wasn't like we were rich. We just,
Mm-hmm.
living way below our means. But I remember that there were no places for Black women to gather who had children,
Mm-hmm.
right? The only places of gathering was welfare type
Mm-hmm.
places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to the motherhood centers, Kingwood, Breast, right? I had to go to majority white areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Spanish, so that's the reason why I wasn't home with the Latino women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but completely different culture. But
Yes.
right, then you get in those nuances of issues
Mm-hmm.
because, right, you're the only Black one there. But
Right.
I just remember that wasn't offered at the Black congregational places that I belonged to and that I knew of, right? I didn't know where Black middle class women were, right? To hang out. So I end up having this wonderful midwife who created that community. She
Oh,
was in third
nice.
grade, she's since passed, but she became that community. Okay, guys, let's walk with the strollers. Okay, let's get our nails done. Let's do this, let's do that. And it was
Nice.
very diverse. But I've noticed that those resources were not in our churches. Like our basic needs were not being met.
But but maybe it's because no one's demanding that.
And that is the exact thing, that we don't prioritize ourselves, because
Yeah.
I know this has only been a question to me recently. We don't prioritize ourselves. I don't think that we even may have the capacity to understand we deserve these things.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that
I'm also
we should.
eating dinner, just as FYI.
Oh, no, that's cool, because I was eating eggs. I was
Have
eating
at
eggs
it.
earlier.
Have all the eggs. Um, no,
So yeah, what is that?
I think you have a point. I think you have a point. But I also think maybe for so long, maybe. Well, so I mean, I'm not like I'm not a church person. I mean, we talk about that later, but maybe I've always found it's fascinating to me, the Christian church, when you look at the Black community, setting aside the mega churches, but even the mega churches are like planted squarely in the hoods, and they be there for decades, and the hood doesn't change around them. The church keep expanding, right? Like the church keeps expanding. They get a new parking lot, pastor upgrades his car, first lady gets a new car. Congregants who come to the church might be doing better off from when they started or whatever. But the area around the church is pretty much unchanged.
The only thing I know that's different from that, and maybe this is not good because I think he's in jail for embezzlement,
Oh, what?
is when Windsor Village, Kirby John created that Corinthian Point community. He did the Kingdom Builders, but I think that was the money
Yeah,
that
but
he.
I mean, if you look at Kirby John's church, right off of Main Street, for those of you who are not in Houston, I don't know what to tell you. Right off of Main and Post Oak. That's
Yeah.
that's hood. It's, Hiram Clark areas adjacent. Um, and it has been the same ever since I was a child. Like,
Yeah.
and I can go through all of the Black churches that are like sizable, and not much has changed around where they've planted at. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's us as Black folks saying, we just come to this place for a specific thing, one thing, praise, worship, get a word, and go. And we've elected for that. Or if it is just the church's inadequacies.
Man, I think that is it. I think it is so complex. When I think of churches like First Baptist, right here on Memorial,
Correct.
Sagemont, which used to be the
Yep.
biggest Baptist church,
Yep.
they have such an infrastructure where it doesn't really matter. Like the infrastructure is already there. So I don't know if they are quote unquote giving back to the community because the community has. Like we're not out in rural sticks.
Right.
So
Right.
so I don't know what's going on in Alvin Little.
But like even Joel Osteen's church, right? So when his father was the pastor, they were on the east side, hood joint, real hood. It stayed hood. And then Joel took over, right? And they moved to the old compact center. And now they're in Greenway Plaza. Now, obviously, they have outreach and all these other things, right? As do a lot of and I can tell I've not spent much time in white churches or I don't even think there is a mixed church, like a church where there's a good mixture of like all the people. It may be like white with a spattering of black people and some Latinos and whatever, but
I think
I've been raised in black churches. Like all of my church experiences in life, 95% of them are in black churches. And I just know that they are doing things. So I don't want to take away from what they are doing,
mm-hmm.
but I just don't know if it's adequate or meeting the need of their constituents, for lack of a better word.
You know, for the sake of, at the end of the day, I believe that us 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 who have been trafficked here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sex
Mm-hmm.
trafficked on this land.
Yeah.
We have been so thankful just to survive and be alive.
That's correct.
I don't know if we have, again, there's no way we have. I have never heard of a meeting in any of our not I haven't been to all the churches in Houston. I've been to many, but right, I haven't seen or heard of a ministry where Black women are like, no, we need to have a ministry of laundry. We need to hire a housekeeper to clean our homes and help us. We need to have a
Even
salon at the church or a spa at the church so we can get
even
our,
daycare.
or but okay, so there
I know
have
they
been
have
church
schools. Don't get
daycares,
me wrong. There are churches that have schools, right?
schools
And
and
they go from
daycares,
preschool to
but
whatever.
they cost money.
Well,
But they
right.
cost money.
But I mean, isn't that I mean, we can debate the tithe thing because that's a whole separate situation
Right.
that exists that
Yeah.
probably should not. But I mean, you're getting tithes and offerings every week. Astonishing numbers if you're a mega church. Now I get it if you like these little mom and pop churches and it's like 50 y'all every Sunday. I get it. But that's you can't carve out a day or two to I'm just asking. I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't have the need. But to your point, there are a lot of single moms who attend church.
Yeah, I've not.
And
I've
the
I've
other
not.
part of me wonders, and it just wondered this through this conversation when I said this, is I wonder if they don't feel the need to address single moms because of some sort of moral high ground. It's almost like it's almost like in the when they have teen church and stuff like that.
Is shame attached to it?
Yes.
Is shame attached to it? Because when you say that, I'm like, now that I really consider it, unless it's the political season, where home dude comes
Right.
in the church and asks for votes, the majority of our needs are they met male, female. So I remember there I had a tape for years because I used to follow TD Jakes, Juanita Bynum, Joyce Meyer, Paula White in the 90s. I used to follow these people.
Okay.
And I remember when TD Jakes started the Mega Fest and Woman Thou Art Loose things, and right,
Yep.
had the book, read
Mm-hmm.
and I remember in the 90s when Black women, I think of childbirth giving years 18 to 35, something like that, was we were number one dying of AIDS at a certain point in time. I don't know if
Yep.
that's still the number, but we were.
Yep.
And there was an interview with this dude who did this documentary about HIV in Black America. And he went around asking pastors about their role in this
They were like,
epidemic.
we ain't got one. Like, keep moving, son.
And I remember I was in high school at the time, so I was aware and I was like, okay, what is he going to say? And I never forget that he said, well, the Bible doesn't discuss diseases. Jesus didn't talk about that.
And I don't even know how you can say that because they went around healing people, like the lepers, the one with the issue of blood. I'm like, I don't even know how you can come. This is the kind of stuff that I'd be like, I don't understand why people go to church. I really don't. I'm gonna be for real. I don't even understand the amount of shenanigans that go on with the supposed word of God that's supposed to be the thing that like grounds everybody. I'm like, y'all are ridiculous.
And I remember that interview. Then I was shocked. Today, as a grown woman, I'm like, what is it about us that continues to put ourselves or are not aware of a situation to where we don't demand, create, and procure the assistance for our highest good and the good of ourselves? I believe, like you said, I didn't realize it now, it's a shame thing. It's a shame thing, probably a thing where there's some type of psychic whatever that you think you need to punish someone. Mm-hmm. And suffer for their choices. Somebody wasn't obedient, somebody wasn't listening, so look where you are now.
Correct.
I honestly, I think, yeah.
That could be an underlying current. That could be an underlying current. For the love of God, I don't understand why people be in church. And I sure as heck don't understand why people be sending money over there. I really don't. I'm just like, when I was a kid, so like I said, went to all the Black churches, all the things. My mother still goes to a mega church now. And I used to, my mom always let me be in big people church. Like they'd be like, you can excuse your kids and they can go to whatever, kids, whatever. And my mom was like, no, you can stay. It's important for you to hear whatever. And inevitably, so at some point in the whatever shenanigans they're going on from the pulpit, I would just be like, where is that in the Bible? I done read this thing from cover to cover multiple times. Multiple. I got a pretty good memory. I'm absolutely certain I ain't never seen what this dude is talking about here. It don't make no sense. And I was like 6. And so I didn't want to go after. I was just like, this doesn't make sense because it would happen really frequently. I just like, this is not in the Bible. I ain't never seen it. Do he have a different Bible? What Bible he got? Because I need to see it. And
so you were like the culturalisms that were going on. Okay.
Yeah. Like, that is not. And so I was just like, I don't want to go. And so as soon as I could not go as an older person, I was like, I'm out. Aside from having other affiliations in general, I'm out. I'm like, I'm definitely not participating. I'm like,
wow. That's interesting that you said, because the craziest thing is my mom was raised in the family church. Like my family owns on my mom and dad's side, they owned and chartered a church in Concord. And whatever went down, my mom did not want to raise us in the Black church. And so we were raised in predominantly white churches. So I, looking for my Blackness, joined Wheeler, like while I was going to college, right after college, somewhere around that time. And so I hear what you're saying. I did not know the culturalisms around Black church. Not that I love how I'm like referring white church or Black church. Not that the Presbyterians or Church of God or
they act the fool too. They all act the fool. They all act the fool. This is shenanigans all in and through it.
It was just that the Black church, I didn't realize that the men were, from my experiences, had a demigod status. They were like almost worshipped. Well, you could say they were worshipped. That he was making the decisions for the home ultimately, regardless if you were married or not. That's what I realized. And since I wasn't raised with that, I was like,
what's happening?
What is this? Pastor said, pastor said, pastor said, pastor said. So I realized, like you said, very few people were reading the text. And if they were interpreting it, they only interpreted it based on what pastor said. It didn't really matter what they thought. It was based on what.
That's correct. I remember like it was yesterday. I don't remember the exact church. I feel like it was a church we went to in Louisiana. We were there for like the holidays with family and stuff like that. And they were doing communion.
Mhm.
There was a whole battle in the church. And this was like a smaller church, like, 1,000 or so people. They had a whole battle in the church because somebody showed up and did not have their white gloves to serve communion. And I was like, this is why I don't mess with this tomfoolery mess. First of all, where the white gloves in the church? Where's the white gloves in the Bible? Can somebody give me the scripture where Jesus was sitting at the table, passing the bread and the wine, telling people to take this and eat and remember and all of that? Because that's in there. Didn't nobody have no white gloves though? He didn't say, hey, Judas, I know you're about to betray me. Can you get your white gloves though before
You messing with people's traditions. People will die over their traditions and
I was like,
customs.
what kind of shenanigans? You denying somebody it's a rite of passage to all the things of the reason why you take communion. I'm not going to rattle all up, but for all the reasons you take communion. I'm like, you didn't deny this person the ability to serve in the church and take communion because they did not remember they white gloves.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to y'all no more. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking to y'all no more.
I think that's the thing. I think we get caught up. Maybe that's what it is. We get caught up on our customs. When you don't follow those customs, here comes the shame. I can really control you with shame. I can really prevent you from asking for what your birthright is if you shame.
That is true.
So, wow, I didn't think about, you know what? Speaking of this, just in case I didn't really think I was getting canceled, I had a whole cousin I learned. So let me put myself up there. Me, when I was 39 years old, as my mom said, which goes to the shame discussion. How do we go from here to shame? When I was 39 years old, I got pregnant after my divorce with Gracie. So 2 baby daddy. My mother, now I'm 39, I'm not 19.
Right.
But you would
Not
know
50,
that.
you're not, yes, correct.
I was a whole teacher, had a whole job.
Whole job, whole profession.
Whole job, whole profession.
Yep.
My mother was not furious, and this was so interesting, culture and program, not furious of the abusive relationship in the marriage, but furious that I was about to have a baby out of wedlock. Furious.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where I don't even think I calculate. I had my own stuff going on. I didn't even calculate. I just remember one time she called, she said, you know what? I realized it's not like you're a drug addict or going to jail. You're just having a baby.
It's true. You're not on the corner selling your body every day for $5 and a nickel.
I was like, and I have a cousin who stayed in the culture of where my mom grew up, and because everybody was shaming. Look, I didn't know that they were shaming me. I missed that bus, but they were busy shaming and gossiping about me because they had forgotten their own indiscretions, apparently.
Of course.
And my cousin, who's a little bit younger than me, ended up getting pregnant out of wedlock as well. Now I was 39, she might have been 36, okay. 30s. And I heard she was told to go in front of the church.
Oh, dear Lord.
And apologize. So I think you were right. That whole shaming thing, we offer the resources that are rightfully yours, and we don't demand them.
Right.
Because of shame.
Right. But to demand them means you got to stand 10 toes down on business. Right? Because you're making a demand. You're saying, I'm here. I contribute. I participate. There is a covenant between us in this relationship that we have between the church and myself. and others, what are we doing? Because
Okay,
there's all
so
like I don't see like, and I'm not saying there's not any, because there's probably a few or whatever, but even the notion of like the things that the secular world has put forward that the church really doesn't do very broadly is fascinating to me, like widows. So the Bible speaks about what to do with widows. And there might be some churches out there that got some widow groups or whatever, fantastic. But like it's not a thing. Your elders and taking care of them. Not every elder has kids. Not every elder has kids, period. Not every elder has kids who are available to take care of them. Not every elder has kids who they want to take care of them, who they trust with their whatever. Like it's all kinds of scenarios. Like elder care, I'm like, so we're not doing nothing with the elders. We're gonna
we
let them
left that to the state.
do that to
The
the
state.
state. Okay.
We left that to the state funds.
I like
Okay.
okay.
So this brings up another thing. Okay. Well, it adds on to this because you're right. It's not just right this need. You have, I love what you're saying, elders, because in the Black church, right, elders are the number one position.
Number one thing, child.
One thing. However, why is it? You're right. I was like, you know what? All those funds for our seniors who cannot afford, right, homes or care or have to get Meals on Wheels, where are those
Where
funds?
is the church?
Where's the church when it
A
comes
whole
to?
book. That's a whole 72,000 article write up called Where's the Church?
Because the church
And
can
I'm
have retirement.
not saying all churches do it. I don't
Not
want
all churches.
to
Like I know
somebody
Wheeler
listening to
has
this.
retirement
I don't
homes.
need
I
you
know.
to raise your hand and be like, my church do. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the vast majority of them are lacking in what I would consider the same thing that the government has as constituent services. So you can go to your congressperson and be like, hey, my social security check is messed up, or hey, the Veterans Affairs Office is screwing me over, or hey, and they help you with those things. But those are things that are systems built by them. So the systems that are built by God, like where they at?
Mm, and we don't demand them because maybe the same thing. Maybe the impetus is right. Because I'm thinking about this. I didn't realize how deep this was. When I was married and I left and I went to a women's shelter. I never disclosed what was going on to my church. There was so much embarrassment and shame,
Mm-hmm.
right? In hindsight, where else would I run? Where else
Technically,
would I go? Right?
technically.
But I learned very quickly that that was not the relationship. So it goes back, that was not the relationship
That's correct.
that existed. In fact, the church literally said, and this was actually the white church, but the church literally said, well, that's why we contract with this agency.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it ends up being so transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, we contract to that place. You go to that place to
Yeah.
do that. That's what those people are for. They work with the state and we give our money to the state so that they can do that for us over there.
Except I don't even know that I mean, I don't know if they give their money to the state. They certainly don't give it through taxes because churches are tax exempt.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
so you get $20 million flowing through your church tax free.
Wow. So it really is that perhaps we don't ask for the help, demand the help because of maybe we don't have a proper relationship with these agencies, services, churches. We're not getting our needs met because maybe we're embarrassed, guilt, shame. Damn. It's like if you can keep somebody there.
Oh, you can rule the world. You run amok if you can keep people
Because
in
I sinned.
distrust and shame and regret. and all of that.
Okay. Which, I mean, now I'm thinking about it. Okay, well then that makes sense because wasn't that the majority of my lessons? Right? What a sinner am I? Right?
Yeah, but the lesson was, I mean, like, I mean, I get if you went to like the fire and brimstone, but the whole fire and brimstone, even in the fire and brimstone message, and this is your part here where you bring the hope. I'm not supposed to be bringing the hope. You're supposed to be bringing the hope. But even in the fire and brimstone message, the whole point was you're a sinner, you're a wretch, you whatever, and then it's dun, 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 and give your life to God, and He'll take it all away. Right? So, so
Salvation.
salvation is yours.
Salvation.
So
Man,
like,
what?
even in
No, go
that,
ahead, go ahead.
it's not supposed to be like guilt and shame and all this other mess.
Well, that's interesting. So we have awareness of the guilt and shame. So what's stopping us? I guess it's more guilt and you know what? Okay, I think we said this last week, but I think this is relevant. When my mom said she was taught that a bad husband was better than no husband,
You did say that.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that is the guilt and shame, the disempowerment, then and I've seen, and even though you say there's salvation, but you keep getting a heap of that every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you still have to confess you have to confess.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I guess the hope is still we still got the power,
Mm-hmm.
right? We still have the power, we still have the autonomy, and we just have to override this program, which is rightfully ours because they have the funding, and the
Oh, they
funding
got the
is
money.
for the people.
They have the money.
They have the money. We have just literally given our power away. We've
Yeah.
literally just given our power away. And I'm like, if Black women literally just, because we making everybody rich, making
That's
everybody rich. So if we redirected our shame, right? If we recycle that back into empowerment and change our behavior and become aware and change our behaviors, then we can fund ourselves or believe we deserve to be funded.
right. Right.
We deserve to be funded because I'm like coming from I grew up with this lack of mindset, and I think I told you previously I love how this dude was like you can have an abundance of lack. There's only abundance, you can have an abundance of lack. That we could begin to break this program, but the root, I like that, the root is the guilt and the shame.
Which,
And
again, those are emotions. You take them as a data point, and then you need to move on. Like there's no reason to carry the cross. The idea is that the guilt pops up because you recognize that it's something that maybe you shouldn't have done. Maybe you should have made a different decision, right? The shame comes because you're like, oh, maybe I can't believe I fell for that. I can't believe that happened to me. I can't, but then that's fine because that's the data point for you to recognize that you wanted a different outcome, and that's fine. And then you need to say, okay, here's what I need to do to have a different outcome. And then you move on. Like, I don't really understand. I love all the emotions, all of them. I do, because they're useful. They're data points. They're useful. But I just don't understand marinating in
I like
in
that.
them, right? Like,
I like the fact you call emotions the data point so analytically.
I mean, they are. Like, if you're happy about something and you're experiencing the emotion of joy, then that's a data point to say, oh my goodness, this thing brings me so much. I just feel so fantastic and euphoric. What do I need to do to keep having this occur in this way? If you feel anger, that's a data point to say, okay, something is not right here. I'm not liking this at all. This needs to stop. How do I make it right? Like they're all the whole point of an emotion, and people have demonized and like even the people who are out here talking about like if it only gives you pleasure, then do only the things that make you happy. Well, that's not really life. Life will send you through all the emotions, so it's best for you to figure out how to process through those emotions, take the lesson out of them, the joy, the sadness, the anger, all the things, the gambit, and then figure out what you need to do next based on those data points.
Based on the data. I love what you said. I heard it hit a different way this time when you said we don't need to keep paying the cost, because I'm thinking about tithing,
Yeah.
right? And I'm thinking about how since we are the
I need
poorest,
everybody to stop for the record. Okay, but let's keep that.
since we are the poorest, and I've been in sermons where God bless you, you know, they want you to tithe on your food stamp. I mean, you have nothing. And Black women are steady paying out of lack, right? It's different if you're paying out of a different mindset, but if you're paying out of fear, if you're paying out of lack, right, then that breeds more lack. So I'm thinking that there's a emotional cost, there's a karmic cost, right? There's a physical cost, there's a health
Genetic
cost.
costs, a spiritual cost, there's all
Oh
kinds of
my gosh, we're literally paying the cost
exponentially.
exponential. We're literally paying. Oh my God, we're paying the cost. We're paying the cost. We're paying the cost. Damn. And if we could just turn that boat around and somehow understand that it needs to be mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But that belief system, because I've talked to people who don't believe that that's the case. They don't believe that that's the case. I didn't believe that that was the case, but I'm clearly seeing now that, man, we really have everything we've ever wanted as a community. We just have to stop paying in the wrong direction. We're
Yes.
literally banking in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
places,
Yeah. Yeah.
investing in the wrong, oh man, to our own demise. We're doing it to ourselves.
We're doing it to ourselves.
We're doing it to ourselves. Have you ever said any of this and gotten pushback? And if you did, what was the pushback
Have I
in
ever said
previous
it to who? I mean, I've certainly had plenty of conversations with lots of people around it, but when you say, have I ever said it and got pushback, which
Oh
part?
yeah, because it seems so, like, saying it out loud, it seems so simple. Like, oh, we just need to reinvest back into our belief systems. We need to kick out the middleman and understand that we're the kingdom, we're God, we're heaven, we're the creator on this earth, and we need to just start investing in our communities and ourselves. And it's weird because, right, the Million Man March, like, we've done all of these things, but I think the difference is I don't think Black women have been the ones that are leading this charge. I think we somehow think it's a masculine thing and it's their job. It's not
Wasn't
our.
there a Black woman thing? I thought there was like the
It
Million
was.
March and then the women's thing that
It
I
was.
don't know, maybe I missed it,
I
but
don't know what the highlight was, because I don't know if Black women usually talk about Black women without talking about how we first need to support our men.
mm-hmm.
Usually there's a whole lesbian tent if you talking if you talking about how to do for self. Like, somehow you end up gay. No, 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 you can be gay all you want to. I'm just saying,
Right,
somehow it ends up turning into feminism and
right,
social, anti-Bible, because you need to do
right,
for self.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I think it's man hate or Black man hate. We don't even want to go. That's a whole nother
I just
topic.
don't
But
know why it
usually
has to
when we
be an either.
hmm,
I'm like, I never understood why it has to be an either or. Like, why can't it be a both and?
okay, first of all,
I'm a both and kind of person. Like, I'm not
so
really,
you're saying, why can't we talk about how
why can't we
to
talk about how to support Black men and
mhm.
how to also embrace and love and do for ourselves?
Because we have not done both well.
That is
I
true.
don't think we've done both well. I think the folk like Strength to Love, there was the Womanist Prose, Alice Walker, when she does this interview with Coretta Scott King. And in one of the interviews, when who was it? Shirley Chisholm was running for president. She was like, well, where's our community? Like, she's going up against, I forgot the white dude, whatever. And all the community leaders were like, yeah, we're going to vote for this dude because he'll be president. Kind of like what's going on now every single
Yeah.
election.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, why don't we come out and support us? I don't even see Black women gathering. And she was like, well, we've been so busy. She said, Black women have not had their civil rights movement. We have not had our civil rights movement. We have been holding up our men because we need them to not get killed and slaughtered and all these things. And I just don't think that we have we have focused on our rights. We have focused on our needs.
That's fair.
And Black women, because the tent's so damn big, I don't think we've only focused on us.
The tent is massive. And I just need somebody to be some gatekeepers. And people gonna be like, well, why you can't be to somebody? I don't want to be somebody. I'm just saying. I'm just drawing our attention to the fact that the tent is ginormous.
How do we grab hold of our own resource? Because I realized, okay, when it comes to WIC, when it comes to all the Section 8 programs, that primarily was created for us.
No, that was primarily created for our paler complected colleagues and peers.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. The farming programs that doled out money, that wasn't made for Black people. That was made for white farmers. Yeah, this entire system that is in place currently was not designed. There's nothing here that's designed for us except for prisons. Like,
well, we got churches designed for us.
We have
churches. We have churches designed for us. We have charter schools that are supposedly led and run by Black people that's designed for us. Is it doing what I think it should be doing? No, because I think we're still in a colonist mindset.
Is it really designed for us?
Well, it's run by Black people.
Okay, that's different. That's two very different. That's very different.
I think the Amani School tried. I think the Amani School here in Houston tried. I have seen some outlier programs. Like there's a program. These are right.
But I mean, when we say charter schools were made for us, they really made
no
us.
No, we demanded some stuff and got in there, but no, you're right.
Correct.
No, you're right. I guess the HBCUs were made to give us a separate and equal education.
But that wasn't a thing that was a part of the system initially. That was us doing us, right? So when you talk about Section 8, WIC, all the government programming things funded by the government largely, like that, those largely weren't designed. There was no design thinking for the Black stakeholder. That's
true. No, okay, I agree. We have crafted some things out of those systems.
That's correct. We have said, oh my goodness, look, they have that thing. We should also be a part, or we need to figure out how to get our piece. But that was not the deal. They didn't go into it saying, how can we help Black people? Let's fix something for Black people. They didn't go into it.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. But that is something we have the ability to do.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Without tearing it down.
Yes.
Okay, we got work to do. I heard there's a lot of grants out there.
There are.
If there are, this is pure speculation, when you write a grant, are you able to write the terms and do as need do, or do you have stakeholders telling you what to do?
Oh, you have the grant. The grant is telling you what to do. Right? So like if it's a grant for STEM, you can't come over here talking about arts and science, the arts and literature, right? They're telling you that you have to have a program in STEM that they want you to be, they'll give you the requirements in order to meet this particular grant and to be considered for the grant. You need to have these things. And if you don't have those things, you won't be considered.
So I need to find something that aligns with something tailor-made for our community, or just fund it ourselves.
That's correct. Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Because I don't know who's actually demanded it versus it being denied.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's certainly great and it's fantastic when you can use somebody else's money. Like that's the best gift ever. That is just wonderful. But other people's money comes with other people's requirements, right?
Yeah.
And those requirements can shift and change and all that. And I know even when I had the radio show, everybody was like, oh, you should, and I paid for it myself. And people were like, you should get sponsors and whatever. I was like, nope, because the moment somebody don't like what you said and they call one of your sponsors, now you out here backtracking, double talk. I'm not taking, if I said it, I said it. I didn't play it again.
If I said, that's a t-shirt. If I said it, I said it.
I mean, like, I'm not fit to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I would like, we're not doing that. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And I don't understand how people buy that either. I'm like, that is the most stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They are literally recorded saying the thing. Like, that is their official position statement on the thing.
You talking about Nick Cannon? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about all the people. I'm
No,
like,
I'm just picking on Nick. I'm picking on Nick.
yeah, I'm like, so no. So we're not having no cancellations. We're not doing none of that. And I remember one of the radio programs got upset because I said something about Rick Perry. And they were like, he's coming to town and we're sponsoring him. I was like, they ain't got nothing to do with me. And they were like, if you go out there and say, I was like, you try to pull the plug if you want to. We got this contract. I know that much and I pay y'all. So you're not supposed to do nothing. I'm gonna say whatever I need to say, as long as I'm within the FCC guidelines of what I'm saying. And then we're gonna move on with our lives. That's what we're gonna do.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm ready to walk to walk this out. This is gonna be interesting because I still think of all the shoulders, right? All the Black State of Americas, all the Tony Brown journals, all of these speeches. But we don't have our space. We don't have our trauma sensitive spaces. We don't.
But the question is, I guess the other question is that something that we want? Because the whole point of a business, whether for profit or not, is to provide something that the user of that thing that they want. And maybe they don't recognize they want it when you put it out there, but then they see the value and they're like, oh yeah, I can't believe I live my life without whatever, right? So do we even want that? Because some people are perfectly excited about being in the struggle. I don't understand why. I look at people all the time and I'll be like, man, you're making that really hard. Like there's no reason to even make it that hard. And some people just are, and you point it out to them and they do not care. They're going to keep doing it the hard way because it's the way that they know.
Well, yeah. And we talked about people generally don't like change, or they don't have the capacity to think. Because I know you said some stuff to me that has taken me years. Like, surely, like I just didn't have the capacity at the time to understand why this is so simple. Like, because I'm so used to this struggle, but I don't understand why she's saying it like this. Just, I don't know. Like, it still takes me a minute because it has not been my reality.
That's fair.
Like, it's not your reality. It's not your reality.
That's fair.
So I said, say yes, there are folks who always think that, the grass is greener, what white folks doing over there is going to be better, right, than what we doing. I get that. But there was a time during segregation where everybody was going to the Cotton Club.
That is
right?
correct.
Everybody was going to the Apollo. So there was a time, well, they still doing it, buying the music. We don't own it, but
right.
We still shifting and shaping culture. We just don't own it.
On very limited pieces of it.
On very limited pieces. So I could see us returning. I could see us returning to what it is that we do, because we're still doing it. We're still doing nails. We're still doing spa. We still, right? We haven't stopped doing those things. I think you're right. We can be addicted to the struggle. Like, what do I, like me not having kids right now? It took me a minute, and it still takes me to transition to what do I do with my brain? What do I do with my time?
Right. Girl, let me tell you, I tell you lots of stuff too.
You tell me like I got a
whole list of stuff you can do with your time. Let me tell you. Yeah.
I have a whole lot, but it's like it is a spiritual, mental, emotional shift of okay, all right. Right? You might even have to calm down your nervous system a little bit.
Yes. Yep. That is true. That's very true.
You have to do it. Or it may stink like the stench of fruit, right? It may feel repulsive.
That is true.
You've been in struggle so long, so you don't even recognize freedom or love when it hits you. You don't even
Right.
recognize it. It may repulse you.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of that going on with some deeply spiritual things that we don't even know how to navigate those waters because we've been in the mud for a long time.
That is true.
We've been in the mud a
That's
long
very
time.
true. That's very true. And similar to the prodigal son, he was down there with the pigs, and it took him a minute to figure out he was not supposed to be in there with the pigs, child. That is the end
Yes.
of what you are supposed to be doing.
Look at you in that hope. I hear some hope.
I just said the prodigal son, child. That's just the story. That's the story.
You hear hope trying to find hope. But there was some light because he went back home, right?
He went back home. He did. We don't know what happened after he got back home, but he went back home. But he realized that he was not supposed to be down there with them pigs. And then he was like, let me go back to my father's house.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go back to, yes. I think that is a supreme example, Natalie. That's a supreme example of where we're taking this thing. Starting the conversation of maybe you giving all of your whatever you're investing your time and attention into is not getting you what you want. How about do it over here for yourself?
Right.
Because that in itself, there's that program that I even hear on Sundays, and they retract it, but I was raised hearing God first, others second, yourself last. I heard that my entire life. Okay, I got evidence, proof, and wisdom that's gonna kill you.
That will kill you.
That will kill you. But when you
kidding.
drill that in your head as a woman too, drill that in your head that you're last, that you're last, that you're last, that you're last. That's deep. That's deep programming.
I need everybody to just be oppositionally defiant for a time period and just say no. I just do. I mean, like it's odd. It's odd to me too, because like there are people that I've met, that doesn't happen with all people, but I'm definitely a person who, again, if I said it, I said it. And rewind the tape, play it back, I said it. And so I'm not the person I'm not agreeing to nothing that I don't want to do. That's just it. From purposes of finances and making money to friendships to whatever it is I want to eat. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the things that I'm not participating. So if I tell you something, like if I say, oh yeah, let's connect, let's whatever, I mean that. Like, I'm like, let's connect, let's do whatever. And I realize how many people just say that so flippantly and have zero intention of. So people are always shocked. They'd be like, I know it took me 6 months to reach out. I didn't really know. And I'm like, I don't know why it took you 6 months to try. If I said it, I am not telling anybody. Because if somebody be like, hey, well, can we get together? If I don't want to get together with you, I'm gonna be like, no, we can't. I'm fine with saying that to somebody's face. I don't need to beat around the bush. I don't need to make up a lie and be like, well, I would, but I'm not doing none of that. I'll just be like, no, I don't think it's meant for us to get together. But God bless you on your journeys.
Well, I mean, you're touching on so many things of integrity. You're talking about boundaries. You're talking about setting boundaries for yourself, respecting boundaries for yourself. I mean, you're talking about keeping your word. You're talking about telling the truth and not just making do or being passive aggressive.
Yeah,
I mean,
that though. So that's what I'm saying. Like this whole, and don't get me wrong, God is first. But if God is first, then all the other things fall where they're supposed to fall. So including taking care of yourself and all the other things. So the notion that I'm supposed to drag myself last across the finish line, that's some bull. I'm not participating.
I think that ultimate slave mentality, that slave code teaching, I think that was residuals of slavery.
Maybe so, but I mean, and I remember, and again, thankfully, my mother was supportive of these ideas that I had and didn't like try to force. Although I feel like if she had tried to force it, we just would have had a standoff in the same way that I never made my bed because I just didn't understand why I need to make my bed. I still don't really understand why I need to make my bed because I'm just gonna get back in it unless people are coming over and they're gonna see the bed. Then I get it. It needs to
No,
be.
you just freed me. You just freed me.
I'm just like, why? And me and my mom had a discussion all the time. She's like, now to make your bed. I'm like, what for? In 8-9 hours, I'm coming right back home from school and I'm gonna get back in the bed. What was the perk? So I never made it. But yeah, I mean, like there was the whole thing with, we were talking about earlier, like your elders were supposed to be like the pinnacle of all the things, and you weren't supposed to say anything about your and I remember like family, and that might be why some family don't come and visit, whatever, which I'm fine with. Stay wherever you at. But like I remember when they would come, they automatically thought that I was gonna give up my bedroom. Like when they would come and they would stay at the house with, my mom and dad, my brother, and all that. They thought that because it was a gang of them that I'm somehow giving up my bedroom. And I'm like, I'm not, y'all don't sleep. There's a floor and a couch and all sorts of things. Like, I'm not giving up my bed. And my mom she never made me. So, she was never like, she was like, that's not his room. So if she doesn't want to share her room with you, then she's like, chill.
Wow, your mom really, really reinforced you because all those are culturalisms, right? Those are all
Yeah.
things that we learn as kids. And
I'm,
yeah, and in many cultures and homes, that is really expected. That is really
I'm not
expected.
doing it. Like you drove here knowing how many bedrooms was in this house. You drove here knowing how much money you had in your pocket, and it was not enough money to get a hotel room. So no, that must mean you knew you was gonna be on the couch. There are like 3 of them in this whole house. Pick one. We make you a nice little pallet where we got lots of sheets, blankets, they fluffy, all of that on the floor. We got extra pillows, all that. I'm not giving you my bed, and I'm like that to this day. I'm not. That's what I say. I'm not. I don't do anything out of obligation. If I'm spending time with you, it's because I really want to spend time with you. If I don't want to spend time with you, I'm not spending time with you. I will tell you that to your face. I'm not wanting people to be like, hey girl, yeah, let's connect. It was great seeing you. Nope. I'm not
So
saying
wait, let's really. So if your mom, you wouldn't give up your bed for your mom?
maybe. Depends on the situation.
She's like, I know you don't have to, right? You have room. But
I
I'm
was
just
gonna say
saying,
I have been blessed to not have to make. I was gonna say it depends. I've been blessed to not have. So I also
okay.
believe that the Lord knows his child, and he is like, so that she do not sin against her mama. I'm gonna make sure she is set up so that they never have to figure out if her mama gonna sleep on the floor or not.
I'm
So
like,
say, of course I would give my bed to my mom, right? Yeah, I mean, my mom is of a certain age now, so I certainly would give my bed to my, or at least I would share it with her. I've certainly shared a bed with my mother. So yes, but I don't understand why you want me to be in pain though. I don't understand why people like why I don't understand. Like somebody help it make sense. I'm like, so regardless of age, and I know people are like, but they're 65 or what. I'm like, okay, and this person, you're 20 and they're 35. Exactly when does elder start? Like, I don't understand. They're clear.
oh my gosh. You know what I honestly think it is? I think it's a cultural love language. I think cultures over time have defined love languages. And in some cultures, that's the way they show love. Like, I give you an offering, I give you a piece of me. I think that works in
I
certain
think if that is how you explain your love language, then you should do that thing, right? I think if that is your like, I'm not. So we want to talk about love language, right? I'm not an acts of service. All them 5 love languages, my love language is gifts. You don't never need to show up nowhere. I don't ever need to see your face. I don't need none of that. If you send me a gift, I know you love me. Period.
I know
Um,
you just give.
so it's how I show love. My love language is I buy people things. I buy lunch for people. I was like, that's my thing. I'm like, I treated you to some whatever. My husband's love language is acts of service. So if I tap Martin at 2 in the morning, I'm like, I'm thirsty. Martin has no problem getting out of bed and going get. He don't complain. He don't care. He'd be like, cool, all right. He'll ask if I want some, but all the things. I'm not doing that, and he knows that. Like he knows that's not my thing. I will pay. I will pay for somebody to do those things for you. So we need to get a living housekeeper. I will pay. I will pay.
I'm not
And
doing
that will be my gift too. That's my gift. I will gift it.
Oh
And
my God.
the thing. So yeah, so people are like, oh, I love it when if somebody could just massage whatever. I'm not massage. I will pay for you to go get a massage, but I am not massaging you. It's not happening. That's why I don't have kids. I explained that's why I don't have kids. I'm not rubbing nobody's feet.
I am dying over it. But you know what I love about what you're saying? I love how accepting of yourself you are. I love the fact that you have clear, defined boundaries.
I mean,
Like,
if it's your love language, then let it be, right? Let it be your thing. Just like I don't care. Like Martin, I know his love language is acts of service. So I know he expresses his love language through acts of service. I'm not suddenly going to be like, you need to go buy me 10 different gifts. That's not how he expresses his love language. Similarly, I'm not acts of service. So I buy him stuff and whatever, half the stuff he'd be like, I wouldn't have bought this for me. I'm like, I know you wouldn't have, but I did. So it's great. Use it.
but wouldn't it get him good though if you actually did an acts of service for him? Because is that what he receives it too?
Maybe. I don't know. But I just am like, it would also do me good if people bought me gifts. But when you have to me, when you're in relationship with people often express themselves through what they know best to express themselves through, which is usually where the miscommunications come from. But to me, and this is just the world according to Natalie, if you are intuitive enough to understand where a person, or you've had the dialogue about where a person is at in their life and what matters to them, then that's what they're bringing to the table. So, people have asked like, oh, how have you been married for almost 20 years, whatever. I'm just like radical acceptance. This is why my friendships are like 30 and 40-year long friendship, radical acceptance. I expect you to respect me, obviously. Like that's a non. That's a non. But
Like that, yeah.
but I don't expect you to do the things that I would do for me. If that makes I can do those things for me. If you choose to do them, that's fine. But I'll also accept what you think is love for you. So, for example, like if your love language is words of affirmation, I'm not the person who needs to hear they're beautiful. I know I'm cute. I don't need nobody else to reaffirm that for me. I know I'm fantastic. I am great and I'm brilliant. Like I don't need nobody else to tell me none of that. It might not even be good if you did tell me that, because that just might make it worse. But so if that's your love language, but you always tell me things, and you're like, oh yeah, Natalie, you're so great. I love our friendship. I love our relationship. Whatever the thing is, I love how you look at these problems. Whatever the thing is that you like affirm people, and that's your thing. I know that because if that's your thing, I'm like, oh, that's her way of telling me she loves me, or he loves me, because he's saying affirmative things. Now, it don't necessarily resonate with me. Because I'm not moved by it, but I understand that is how you show love. And if you're doing that, then you must love me.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that I'm like connecting dots. Your mom did a really good job of filling your cup. She did a really good job of filling your cup. Like you're expressing security, confidence, and because your cup is full, you're not out there grabbing it from external sources, which is how most of us have lived our lives, and why we're in such of a mess. Right. Because then when we can't get it from the external source, we're like, oh, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I've seen people walk away from marriages or threaten to walk away from what seems to be a relatively normal relationship because they've gotten to a point in life where they want to travel and they want to travel internationally and their partner doesn't. And they're like, I'm fine with being at home. And they're like, well, I want to travel and you don't want to travel with me. So I'm leaving. I'm like, what the hell kind of mess is that? Like, if you don't go find a travel club, you about to throw away your whole, you're going to throw away a basically loving relationship.
Sounds like codependency. Yeah.
Someone who cares about you, someone who supports your dream, because it's your dream to travel. I just need to support your dream to travel. I don't have to travel with you if that's not my thing. I just need to support you going and not be a roadblock and be like, well, I don't want you to travel because I don't want to travel. Now that's a different relationship. But people, I literally have, and I'm like, you done thrown away your whole, okay, you're gonna be out here in these streets, and these streets are not kind to and you
Okay. No, I'm out here.
I'm
No,
like, you don't move on with your life.
no. These are some diseased
These streets, I've heard the horror stories. These streets is not cute. At
You
all.
gotta know who you are in these streets. I
At
love
all.
what you're saying because once again, you're talking about freedom. You're talking about confidence. You're talking about being a complete person. You're talking about being a whole person. And that's taken me a long time to get there. And I say that because I think if most of us were there or understood what that is, then we would have probably hooked up with these partners we hooked up with. But relationships will look a whole lot different. Their lives would function a whole lot different. But I'm convinced that a lot of us are running on fumes of guilt and shame and lack and insecurities. And we stay scraping until we just get to the fuck it 40s, the fuck it 50s, right? And then all the hell with
Right.
everything, you
Right.
throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
But to have that level of confidence, and I have to say that parenting Gracie is a bit different because I have to watch myself with, I can't, she's okay. She just,
Yeah.
yeah. The belief systems of me saying, you can't do that, or you can, of course why can't she? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that being ingrained in the fact that you have radical acceptance about who everybody is and how that doesn't impinge on your freedom, on your abilities, your state of being, your finances. Like you're describing stability. Like I'm
But
stable.
I think you said it best. You were like, you have to bring your whole self, and the whole the kind of cultural norm is that you get a person who completes you. Like everybody's like,
Yes.
oh, you
And I
complete
believe that
me.
shit
I'm like,
too.
what?
I did.
No,
I
I
did.
complete me. I complete me, and God complete me. So we're a complete being, all of us in here, right here.
I did not. No, I remember my first marriage. I was impressed. Oh, I'm so embarrassed saying this. I was impressed that he had a vision for his life. He had a plan for us. He had a vision for us because I really drank the Kool-Aid that he was going to lead and guide us into oblivion. I didn't have my own self there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to emerge and be like, hey, what about my dreams? What about my hopes? What about my
Right.
right? It was like not a priority because it wasn't priority for me. Like
Right.
I married with that agreement and didn't even know it.
Right.
So yes, that part, that part,
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, it's a big thing. And it's not just in marriage, it's in relationships and friendships and all. Like, again, I'm the queen of if you like it, I love it. Not sarcastically, not in a demeaning, like bless your heart way. I just mean as long as it's not like harmful and you like, yeah, I love this heroin. Okay, I'm not supposed to ride with you on that. But like, like if I have had a whole best friend and their family relocate to an entirely different country. I didn't understand it. But if that is where first of all, if you invoke the name of God, then I leave it alone. Because I'm like, I'm not the one to tell you God did not tell you to do something. Okay. Because he told plenty of people throughout the Bible crazy stuff that just seemed, he had Noah building a boat and it was dry and drought. I don't know what the song is. Like, what the hell is this dude doing? So, like, I'm not the one to tell you that he did not tell you to do that. Follow your dreams. And it's just my job as a friend to support you in that. Like, I don't even have to go visit you. I don't have to I don't have to try to help come pack you up. I don't have to do any of that. But my job is to say, okay, great. I love that for you. You know, what is there anything that I can do that I should be doing? Evaluate those things that I can do that's within my scope to be able to support. But like this notion that like you're supposed to be all things to all people all the time, like that, I don't think that's what's called for. That's why people burnt out over here, because I would be tapped out. I literally have a small group of friends. So if I had anything more than the 2 or 3 I got, and there's people out here with 10, 20 friends, I'm like, I don't know how you doing it then, because I'm barely with like 5. Um, and you know, like I think about Martin with like, I took a gig and requires me to travel back and forth um to Dallas and stuff like that. And he could care less about consulting. He's like, whatever, I don't care, right? But he's supportive. He's like, okay, well, what can I do? I think you should take it. It seems like a great opportunity. You know, it's definitely in the path of what you're trying to get done. That like to me, that's it. Like a person to talk to, someone who's gonna you can bounce your ideas off of, who's gonna show you some of the possible gaps in your thinking that you may not have evaluated in your percent. Like that to me is what it's about. It's not about you being like me. That to me is the whole purpose.
Mm, mm,
I don't
mm,
need another me in my life.
mm, 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 mm. That's a whole nother
And that's
yeah.
the bias that happens in hiring. Like people go into interviews and the hiring managers don't like people because they're not extroverted enough. Okay, well, you the extrovert. Great. You be the extrovert. Can they do the job? Like you over here talking about whether they like that's the wrong content. But people want people who are like them. And I don't think that makes for a great relate. I don't need another me. So none of my friends like we kind of share a general directional compass of things, but like they are doing their own life, including my husband. Like he is his own little free thinking person.
I think, yeah, again, that goes back to confidence. Like you don't feel insecure when something else is going on because you're so full on your own ship. You got your own thing going on. You're not comparing yourself to what they doing, what they do. Like to me, it's the same. It's the same stream of what your mother poured into you. It's
Mm,
the same stream where she raised you to have your own voice. She raised you to make choice. She validated those choices in the face of authority,
yeah,
right? Other adults, religious institutions, in your home, in your school. Like she mapped your brain for security and confidence,
right,
right? So whatever bubble she created around you wasn't like, oh, you didn't listen to what I said. Oh,
right.
look, I even had this over here. I have my
Your wooden
my
spoon, the wooden spoon. Reach out and touch with the wooden spoon.
I don't beat my kids, but they do get a warning.
You've
Got
been
these boys.
you've been warned. That is
You've
hilarious.
been
But yeah, I mean, I think that's true. But that's what that to me, that's good parenting. Like, I mean, obviously, when you're a toddler and you can't do for yourself, then it's a lot. But like, in order for your kid to figure out, and I see you do this with Gracie all the time, like, in order for them to kind of figure out one, how to self-regulate,
yeah, yeah, yeah. They got
um, two, how to critically think and process their environment and their decisions and track those decisions to outcomes to determine the lessons that they need to take from those and what they need to carry forward and what they need to never do again. Like you have to kind of give them the space. Now, obviously, again, you don't want them out there doing known harmful things.
Like, we don't need to smoke a crack pipe in the house.
That is correct. You do not get to smoke a crack pipe in the house. You do not get to smoke a crack pipe at all.
At all.
Uh,
But we have to lower expectations for some of these families.
that is correct. That is correct. But you know, like I think that's what you lose is radical acceptance of your children and their decisions. You
This
do
one needs
it
to smoke the
all
crack
the
in
time.
close proximity.
Except for crack smoking. There will be no crack smoking.
Oh my gosh, I hit so close. So, but that goes to saying there's some things that we do tolerate, right? That maps the brain in other ways. And you had a parent who obviously knew how to do those things for themselves. And
Yeah.
usually us parents are teaching lessons that we only have the capacity to teach. And maybe if I don't know how to critically think, I don't teach them how to do that.
I mean, yes and no, because my mom was raised in the era and my grandmother did not play. You will not, because she used to tell my mom all the time that she was like, your child just really be saying a lot of stuff and she probably don't need to be saying that. Have you thought about washing her mouth out, popping her, whatever, all the things? Um, so she was raised in that era. There was no mixing of adults and children. There was no, you don't question your elders. You don't, none of that. You will catch a beat down quick and you will get the beat down where you go get your own weapon of choice to be leveraged against you. So,
Witness.
so, I don't know. I think that we have choice and we can choose. You learn as much from your bad experiences and the things that made you feel bad as you do from your good experiences.
But no, what I said is your mom had to have the ability. I didn't say the example, the
Oh,
ability to
yes, that's
critically
true.
think.
That is true. That is true. That is true. So are we saying there are a lot of people who don't have the ability to critical think? That's what we're saying?
I'm saying that at their present moment, they either haven't gotten to that lesson or they don't exhibit the capacity. They're not doing it. So therefore, they can't teach it. Not saying the kid can't pick it up in
Right.
time and not
Right.
saying they won't get it in the future. But what I continue to see, i.e., my own experience, my own parents, God bless them, they lack that ability themselves.
So how do you
And,
grow the capacity?
huh?
How do you get the capacity then?
Well, trauma can be a good motivator, pain can be a good motivator,
Okay.
right? So you can critically think, like you said, oh, that hurt, or I got arrested, maybe,
Okay.
I got kicked out. Maybe that's not it. Some people never learn it to their own demise,
Okay.
but usually from my life, unfortunately, pain has
Okay.
been the major motivation for me. That's how I got it because I didn't learn that.
Okay. So then in your own life, is pain still the trigger, or have you grown to the place where you're like, I don't need to experience the pain? I am at a place where my critical thinking has grown to a certain level where I can deduce that if I do this thing, then this will likely be the outcomes, and therefore I need to assess differently.
Yeah, I'm there. However, I noticed there's still the fear of the unknown. Like I can critically assess and it makes perfect sense that this and this equals this, but because I have not done that before, right? I still have to intentionally override my program of the lack of the fear, right? I critically thought my way through it, but I still have to walk through myself. I have to walk through the fear.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that part is normal, but that part, it's not like I'm like you, like I hear like, oh, da, 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 like, no, that might take me like 20 iterations and 45 mantras to sustain that. But once I'm there, I'm like, oh, so
But I mean,
bad.
I think that's a thing. I think everybody has their thing, right? Like everybody has their thing because that's the equivalent of um, like knowing what you should eat to have a healthy lifestyle versus eating what you eat, right? So like, or knowing that you should carve out time to work out or whatever. Like I would like to do yoga 5 days a week. I do yoga once a quarter at this point in time. Like, do I know the benefits of yoga? I do. I really do. And I know how I feel even when I do it. Like the one when I rebound, I'm like, we doing it. Hot yoga today. Here we go. I'm like, oh, this was great. I should keep doing this. And then, no. So I think everybody has their area of challenge.
Yeah.
That they go through, and you have to, it's a regular battle all the time, there is a battle being waged constantly.
Yes. Okay. Well
The
then,
areas may be different, right? The areas may be different, but it's a battle being waged all the time.
well then, well then, yes, I would say I have, yes, the capacity because I'm not in those relationships, right? I've got the
Right?
evidence. And I
Right.
need us Black women to get to the evidence. What is your evidence? What was the evidence of that decision?
Right.
Right. So yeah, I have the evidence. Okay, this is a great choice. This makes the most sense. But yeah, I guess it's just that constant battle of, I call them my addictions. And remapping this brain is
Oh, it's
quite
hard.
painful. That is
Hard
painful to
work.
me.
It is
Like,
hard work. And my mom used to tell me all the time when I was a kid, I'd walk out the door and she'd be like, okay, Natalie. Well, my dad would be like, don't take no wooden nickels. And then my mom would be like, she'd be like, you better control your brain and don't let your brain control you. And I'd be like, I feel you.
that's really wise of her.
Yeah, and I would be like, and I would tell her, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense because my brain is the control center of me. Like my heart beats because she was like, girl, you know what I mean? I mean, you need
That's
to control your
deep.
brain.
That's deep. We're talking about your God self. That's pretty deep.
Basically. So, I think that that's kind of what we all have to try to do is to your point, because these are all addictions, like they're all and they're different, and I realized that because I used to watch Intervention. Oh my god. So I used to watch Intervention on A&E,
Stop
and
it.
I don't know how many episodes I watched, but
Plus one, I was done.
I watched a bunch of them, but I used to sit and watch and I'd be like, now I don't even understand what is happening. Y'all just gonna let this girl go out here and score while y'all videotape, and then then you gonna put on, like, I don't even, she could, I like all this stuff. And I don't remember which episode I was watching. And the family is reading the letters and they're all like, oh my God, whatever your name is, we love you. We just want to see you do better. We've been enabling you. We can't do that anymore. You have to go with these people, make all this thing, right? And she's like, the only way I will go is if I can call my dealer and get one last hit and score before I go. And the little intervention person was like, we kind of have to let them do what they need to do. The whole point is that we got to get her onto on this plane so that we can get her where she needs to go. And if that's what she needs to do, and that's what she needs to do. And while I was watching that, I felt like David with the prophet when the prophet was like, and somebody hit and slept with somebody white. He was like, who would have done it? He was like, it's you, boy, it's you. I felt like I was like, oh my God, I get it. Because if somebody walked up to me today and was like, Natalie, you can no longer have sugar ever again. You're gonna get on this bus. We're gonna fly you on a plane to a place that's gonna detox you from sugar, and then you can never return to sugar again. Do you know how quick I'd be like, so I need to find dessert gallery on the way. If we can swing by dessert gallery and I can pick up a cupcake and maybe a cookie. And then if we could stop by Marble Slab or Baskin Robbins, because Baskin Robbins has world-class chocolate. If I can get that, then I'm gonna get on the plane with you. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm not a heroin addict, but I'm an addict. It was so I'm like, so everybody has their thing. Everybody has a struggle. I don't care how great their life look. I don't care whatever. Y'all out here looking at Will and Jada. You clearly see what the hell they struggle look like. Like people are out here with these little Instagram influencers out here lying to you on a regular, like life's so perfect and they like not perfect, and y'all believe in this mess, and then you crying like the Tia Mowry thing, and everybody's like, oh, I'm like, y'all, come on, now people have struggles. Like they clearly had one that didn't get resolved, they get into work. Like it happens. Everybody has a struggle. And if somebody told me to walk away from sugar today, I would show enough be like, look at here. Before I get on that little bus to get on that train, this is what we gonna do. Okay. Period. And then that's when I was like, man, I feel for them because I get it now. I get it. I get it.
Okay, well then, yes, that is that. Oh, definitely sugar, but that is so many of us. That's me with chaos. I mean, there's so many different types of addictions, and it's like I have to talk to myself and say, we are not self-sabotaging.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing chaos. We're not going to create a situation. This is peace. We like peace. Remember, we like peace.
Yep. Oh
We
yeah.
like peace.
Oh
We
yeah.
like peace.
You have to do it. You have to do it because, and it doesn't matter the logic. That's the thing. Like, you know, I use data a lot and all this other stuff, but the logic really doesn't matter when it comes, because I'll never forget my old nutritionist told me, I brought him my little book of things, and I don't lie. So I was like, here's what I ate, all the things. And he was like, well, why did you feel when you feel like you messed up in your morning routine, that you just continued throughout the day eating crap throughout the day? That's exactly what he said. And I was like, well, because I'd already messed up. So I was like, I'll just start again. We'll start the clock again the next day. He was like, so then what you're telling me, and I was like, you know what, Doc, let me tell you, don't be trying to use the logic and data with me, okay? He was like, so what you're telling me then is that if you got a flat tire, one flat tire, you would get out the car and cut the other 3 tires? And I was like, well, no, because that would just be stupid, Doc, because we're not going nowhere if I cut the other 3 tires and I got 4 flats, and then they got to bring a whole different tow truck, and it's a whole problem. He was like, well, that's basically what you did. You basically had one flat tire, and instead of just fixing that flat, whether you put like a little donut on it, and he was like, I said the donut is a pun, but if you put the donut on it, he was like, you know, or you get a whole new tire on it, but you literally went out and flattened the other 3 tires.
Ah, that's so deep.
I was like, I just want to strangle you for all the logic you're sharing.
That is,
Yeah,
wait, I'm having a moment. Wait, I'm having a moment. Because basically you saying we've
basically.
been out here sinning and we continue to pay this damn cost because we flattened one tire.
That's correct.
So we lit a fire to our entire lives. We
You
like,
lit your whole car on fire. Your whole car is now burning on the side of the road. That is correct. It's correct.
oh, car on fire.
Everything on fire. Flat, fire, transmission and blown up, everything.
That's what we do. That's what we do as Black people. I feel like we just saying burn, literally, right? When we get
Burn it.
frustrated in riots,
Light it up, burn it.
we lighten the whole damn neighborhood.
Yep.
Damn. Well, so what is that, Shane?
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
Aside from just addiction, right? Whatever that addiction is for you that causes you to slice up the other 3 tires, right? It is your brain being hardwired a specific way, and you have to unwire that, and it takes a lot of work to unwire it.
Damn, that's deep. It's almost like a path to self-destruction. I did this, so erase. I did this, so delete. So delete. So delete. It does, like, now it doesn't count. You know what? I'm gonna go, especially as a teacher. I've always thought the grades are the stupidest thing
It really
in the
is.
world.
I don't
I
know.
hate grades. I hate
And
grades.
I
I hate
and I
grades.
was a straight A 4.0 student, and I still was like, this is the stupidest thing in the world, but okay. We're gonna do this because that's what your system dictate, but okay.
And the point of, I think they try to get away from this in some schools, but to mark it wrong, so now you didn't master it. But you only need to show mastery. It doesn't matter if I got that wrong, if I understand the concept
Concept.
generally, right? The
Right.
concept. Damn, that is really deep. So as a culture, but especially as Black people, we will just lit the whole
The
thing
whole
on
thing,
fire.
we will light the whole thing on fire. And we will have a whole Angela Bassett waiting to exhale, flip and walk away. That's correct. That's correct.
We do that.
That's
And we
correct.
seem to be starting over in every generation because we don't know how to keep the connection. Maybe
Mhm.
because it was done to us, because they were literally setting our communities on
They,
fire.
they were. They were. And they wouldn't really give you the time of the day to make a connection either.
So maybe we've latched on to that and we have to start making our connections and start setting it off.
Mhm.
Because as a community, right? It personally, like, we will set it off in our relationships and our right.
And I think there's also this thing with the notion of failure, right? And needing to and I know that's my thing. Like I am not keen on taking L's, and I don't really I'm a person who believes you don't have to take an L. You just need to survey your environment. So when you take a L, it can be devastating, right? Like I changed my whole degree program because I got a C in inorganic chemistry. I was like, oh, too bad. Not I won't be a thoracic surgeon today. By a thoracic surgeon, I'm going into business. From a C in chem, I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not for no C's sitting on my transcript. It's not happening. So yeah, so I mean, like there's also this thing of failure where you're just like, I need to hit the reset button because I failed. Not, okay, I failed, or not even a failure. Okay, I tested that thing, it did not work, right? So even the reframing of what historically has been considered a failure, right? And people say it now, fail fast, but why do I have to fail at all? Why can't I just do things and learn from them? Why does it have to be pass fail, right? So, okay, I ate the Oreo cookies in the morning. Maybe it wasn't the best decision, right? But does it have to be a dietary failure? Like, can we just say, okay, let's make a better choice and move on? You learn from that. It's probably
It is
not
if you want comatose because you
right.
were diabetic.
Right? Breakfast of champions. Sugar is gonna have you crash on the right. So let's learn instead of it being a failure. So I've always resented the notion of having to fail. I'm like, I don't want to have to fail, and I don't think you have to fail. I think you can do things and test. Science is the only place where they don't call stuff failures. For our whole 20 years, we thought Pluto was a planet. They did not admit that they was wrong at all. Nobody has said, we were wrong as scientists, and we had y'all learn.
Okay, well, look, the colonists is good about that. First of all, they get to quote unquote practice while everyone else fails.
Yes.
So that's a good point.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Science will tell you all sorts of stuff, and it is just a hypothesis that they're testing, and a theory that was we had a theory. We've gotten more data, more information. Our theory is evolving and changing.
I think science is gaslighting us. I think all these years
gaslighting us. And so, but like they don't fail, and we live by science. I'm like, why I gotta fail? If they ain't failing, I ain't failing.
They hypothesize, they practice.
And I discovered that Oreo cookies were not maybe the best breakfast. So let's not slit the other 3 tires as a part of lashing out and against failure. Let us just learn from this discovery that we have made, and we will do other things that are different.
Okay, I'm writing this down because this is look, this is how we gonna make it through. This is how we gonna end up investing back into ourselves. We practice, we hypothesize, and what else was it?
It's a little loop. It's a little loop.
Wait, but
I don't know. That's why we have a recording. We're gonna go back to it.
I love it. We practice, we hypothesize. That's what we we observe. We discover. No, we discover.
We discover, we hypothesize, we practice, we learn.
We learn. That's all we do. So we're gonna wipe out.
All we do.
We're gonna wipe out the word failure. We're not doing it.
Failure. Because that too has an element of deep-seated shame that you can't move past. So again, it's no longer like the data point of shame. It's like marinating in the shame because you're just in the failure.
Shame is a marination. You're right, because that says there's something wrong with me.
So something's wrong, yeah.
Like I'm broken.
Correct.
That is so. Oh, that's good awareness. I discover, I hypothesize, I practice, I learn. Oh, it sounds like a China Scout.
It does. It does. Look at us go. Look at us go.
We have learning centers. You remember when churches started to be community centers and something centers instead of, you remember that movement?
Yes, I do. I do.
I love it. Strange. We did it. We solved world peace.
We rid world hunger. We ain't got rid of wars, hatred, racism, jealousy, all the things. All right, we fixed it all.
We did. I'm so excited. That is a whole new framework because I think I did have Doritos for breakfast. So I was okay.
You know, it happens. It happens.
It
And
happened.
you hypothesize and then you learn and you're like, okay, well, maybe not Doritos tomorrow. What can I do to not have Doritos tomorrow? Because I now have new data inputs around how Doritos affect my body.
That's
I
true.
eat them in the morning.
That's true. Oh, I'm gonna make a whole Sunday school lesson off this. This is gonna be my kid's Sabbath lesson. This is what we're gonna talk about.
All right, for Sabbath.
Oh, that makes me so happy. That's like a practical, strategic solution to reshape belief systems, to shape behavior, to get the results we want in the life we deserve.
That is correct. I
Okay.
agree. I agree. And then ultimately shrink the tent.
And ultimately shrink the tent. But I'm discovering. I'm gonna look at all the.
We're discovering who should be in the tent and who maybe should not be in the tent. But you certainly be in the parking lot of the tent. You're welcome. You're welcome to the parking lot of the tent.
Oh, okay. So next time we need to talk about quality circle then we need to talk about our quality. I'm still that from Chris Lewis Jackson. We need to talk about our quality circles, like people for our highest good in our intimate spaces, which would be our tent.
Yes.
Which would be our tent, yeah. And then defining those transactional versus communal relationships.
Yes.
Oh, that's painful. Don't nobody want to do. You talking about daddy and them, mom and them, but I can't wait to talk about that because I think based on what you said about how you let people be them and how your cup is full and you navigate relationships in a very unique way according to how I've lived my life. So, okay, you're gonna give us this tent lesson next week or when you come back from vacay.
I come back from vacay.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, blessed be. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see if Trump goes to jail. And I cannot wait to have this discussion because that's a whole nother tent discussion. Because I think he said something about Black people, like, y'all know what it's like to go to jail. I heard he said something
I'm
crazy.
sure he did. I wouldn't put it past him. Like I would not put that past him at all. He probably is having all kind of conversations with Black folks. Talking about y'all understand. Tell me what I need to do.
Offending every damn body, but
oh my God. Yeah. The Blacks.
The Blacks. All right. Blessed be, guys. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.